Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to show you how to get a beautiful glow using Neocolor IIs for your background on your coloring pages. We're going to color that page. So stick with me, meet me on the other side, and we'll get started. One of my favorite things to do is to create a Neocolor II background that has a glow to it, like a source of light coming from somewhere on the page. And what I wanted to do today was break down how easy this is for you guys and hopefully give you the tools and knowledge you need to do the same thing on your pages. First, let's take a look at a couple of pages that I've colored recently that use this glow. So this is Tales from the Forest Kingdom. And I always gravitate towards the bug pages. So here you can see I wanted a little bit of a glow. So as the bug is kind of opened up, the stars are spilling out, and maybe the stars create a glow as the bug is flying along. Sort of like a lightning bug, maybe. But anyway, so there's that. So there's that page. Another page I colored in this book, another bug here. Same thing, just kind of created this illumination, this glow behind the bug. And I think that's so fun and so pretty. And then the last page I wanted to show you, this is from R.J. Hampson's Mountain King. And again, I've got this crown that has this sort of glow behind it. So why don't we talk about that a little bit more. So really, if you break it down, it's nothing more than a gradient of colors. And on my Neocolor pages, I always try to frame the page with a dark color. I did not do the frame at the bottom since the glow was coming out of the bottom of the bug, and that didn't make sense to do it there. But you can see I've probably got 1, 2, 3, maybe 5 or 6 colors on this page. So here I started out with a very light, creamy, white, yellow color, and then went into more of a light pastel pink, into a darker pink, maybe a fuchsia, to a dark purple or an indigo blue. So I'm going to show you how to do that. And then the same thing here, if we look at this guy, you can see there's my dark frame right around the page. And then I'm just changing colors as I go in. The key is in blending them together, but you save the lightest and brightest color for that spot that you want to have the glow. So how do I do that? So I've picked out this page that I'm going to work on today and show you, and I figured this would be a good one. Also still from Tales from the Forest Kingdom. But I thought with this kind of crystal ball and these stars here, that would be a really pretty opportunity for a nice glow coming out in front of her, and then maybe it gets darker around her and behind her. So what I do, the first thing that I do is, because there's a lot of details, I use what's called a drawing gum. This is nothing more than a masking fluid. This is PBO, just a brand I found online. I got this on Amazon, I believe. But what I'm going to do is use a paintbrush and paint this over the spots that I don't want to be covered by the Neocolor background. So by masking fluid, it's just kind of you finding a way to cover up that spot. So as you're coloring your Neocolors around it, you are preserving the original illustration art beneath that drawing gum or the masking fluid. All right, let me get some stuff together, and I will come back and we'll start playing with the masking fluid. All right, for this step of the process, all you need is a cheap paintbrush and your masking fluid. So let me see, I don't know if you can see this here or not. This is really, it's a liquid, it's very liquidy, but when it dries, you can see here in the cap, it's got this really gummy texture to it. I need to clean that out. So what we're going to do, I'm going to take my paintbrush. Now, instead of just dipping the paintbrush in here, I kind of pre-treated it first. You can't see it, but I just took regular dishwashing liquid. So I wet the brush, poured the dishwashing liquid over it, and then just massaged it over the brush. What that will do is preserve your bristles, because if you just use the drawing gum and then you try to rinse it out of there, it's pretty difficult because of that weird texture I was telling you about. But the the dishwashing liquid, just like I said, I use regular Dawn or any generic dish liquid will work. Kind of helps preserve your bristles. So again, this is a cheap brush. So if I ruined it, I really wouldn't mind. But just a little tip that I picked up somewhere along the way from somebody else and thought I'd pass it along to you guys. So what I'm going to do, I've just got a paper towel over here to the side. I'm just going to dip the brush in the drawing gum. You can see it's kind of this gooey blue color. And then I'm just going to paint it on the page. Anywhere that I don't want to get the Neocolors. Now I will tell you, I'm not perfect at this. So there are times when I paint this on here and I go over into the actual background. And what that means is after you color your Neocolor, you're going to have a little space where you missed with the drawing gum. And that's totally okay. That happens all the time. And I will show you how to clean that up. So I'm sort of jumping around here a little bit, but go slow. There are some areas where it can, we'll want to go fast, but the more measured you are and steady you are, the better your result is going to be. So I'm just painting this on here. Now when it comes to her body, I'm not going to paint her entire body, just around the edges, but I tend to get a little sloppy with my Neocolors. So instead of painting just like the edge here, I'm probably going to paint in like that much on her body. Now you can choose to not color the bubbles or color them. Doesn't matter. Sometimes it's fun to let the bubbles take on the color of the background. All right, there we go. Oops, now you can see there how I got a little bit on the background there already. Trying to clean that up a little bit. Sloppy Kim, you've heard of Sloppy Joe sandwiches. There should be a Sloppy Kim sandwich. Okay. All right, so what I'm going to do off camera, I'm going to keep painting this, and then I will be right back and show you what it looks like. All right, the masking fluid is done, and you can see here that I've left some space because I'm not going to be taking my Neocolor. I'm sloppy, but I'm not that sloppy where it's going to go in the middle of the page. But I did leave myself quite a buffer here to make sure that as I'm coloring and painting with my paintbrush, it doesn't accidentally paint into the drawing itself. Now I can see here, like I've got a little bit of a lighter space. So I'm going to try to clean that up a little bit, adding just a little bit more there. This is still a little damp, so it's not quite dry. I can also see where I've got spaces here where I went out of the lines and over here. So what I will do, you know, the whole point of this masking fluid is as it dries and becomes gummy, you can just take your finger and peel it off. So once this dries, I'll be able to take my fingernail and hopefully clean that up a little bit. If not, I use colored pencil to do any corrections with my Neocolors. And so maybe I'll leave a space there. I will definitely have spaces that will need to be cleaned up. I do every time. So no matter how careful I am, don't worry about that. So we will definitely cover that process too. Okay, I'm going to let this dry and then I'll come back and we will put down the Neocolors. I'll be right back. All right, this is dried enough. So what I'm going to do, I picked out these Neocolors here, and I will leave these in the description. I've got Sahara Yellow, pink, purple, violet, and Indigo Blue. So what I will do is I'm going to start coloring around here with the yellow and then the pastel pink into the fuchsia and have it start going out this way. So we will do that. Yeah, we're going to do that. So let me go ahead and get started with this is a Sahara Yellow. So I'm going to start putting that in right around here. And sometimes it gets tricky coloring around this masking fluid. Gosh, I can't think of my words today. Coloring around the masking fluid, it can get a little tricky. But don't worry about it, because when we start painting this in, you can cover in those little crevices that maybe you missed. And I'm actually opposite of a lot of people. I like using the flat edge to just lay down a lot of color in there. Make sure I get some good yellow in there. All right, and I'm going to try to do this. I tried to pick the same colors that I think I used on the pink bug page. I'm not sure I've got it 100% correct, but it'll be pretty close. Okay, so there's the Sahara Yellow. Next, pink. I am overlapping into the yellow, the Sahara Yellow that is, because that way when we wet and activate the Neocolors, those two areas will blend a little bit for us. You won't have so much of a hard line, maybe a little bit, but it won't be bad. So again, I'm just using the flat surface. That's how I like to color this in. I feel like I have more control of the pencil doing it, that like it can go quicker if I do it this way, for me. Okay, so you can see how we're starting to get that radius of color here. And usually when I do my Neocolors, it takes quite a few layers, maybe 2 or 3, just depending on how the color ends up after I activate it. Okay, this is the purple. And again, I'm going into the pink. The thing about it is you can be kind of messy with it. It doesn't matter. The goal is just get some color down on the page. That's all you're trying to do. And normally I like to do my dark outline, but on this page, because the glow is coming this way, I will stop with this purple color over here. And sometimes it's hard to get in these little crevices. That's okay if I don't get all the way up to the edge the way I want to, because your paintbrush can help you get in there. Okay, and as we start to come down here, we'll start introducing the next darker color. And actually, let me come back up here a little bit. I'm sorry if my hand's in the way. I just have to color this flat to get the color where I want it, how I want it. Okay. And now I want to come back in with this pink and really make sure that that area where it overlaps is blended pretty good. That will give us a nice transition. Okay, next color, purple violet. And I might speed this up a little bit here for y'all. Next color, violet. Now I'm going to go back with the violet to make sure I've got a good blend between those two colors as they transition in those areas. Okay, last I have Indigo Blue. I'm going to add a sheet of paper behind this because I'm going to be coloring off the page like this. It's easier when you have a piece of paper behind your current page, for me anyway. You might have your own technique and way to do this, so please do it the way that makes sense to you and feels good. So this is that darker frame I was telling you about that I like to put down on all of my pages. I'm going to go back with the violet, blend that really well together. Now I'm going to darken up the blue again. I can see like down in this area, I just need more color. This saturates or desaturates really easily with too much water. So I like to make sure that's nice and dark. As much as I can make it that way. Okay, I see some spots in the purple I want to clean up a little bit more. Make sure I get some good color in there. And I think this is good enough for a first layer of activation. All right, with that, let me get my paintbrush and I'll be right back. I'll be activating with a number 10 watercolor brush. So what I'll do, I'll just dip my brush in the water. I've got water off to the side and a paper towel here that I'm just dabbing the brush on. So you don't want it too wet, but damp enough to start moving the color. So I'm going to start working in this light area, and you can see how this yellow, it desaturates pretty quick because it's so light. That's okay. Now I'm going to start moving into the pink. And I'm sorry that I don't remember the names. I think that is actually called pink. I'm just doing like little swirly motions with my brush. But I do like to make sure that those colors mix together there. And sometimes it's going back from the light side into the darker side to get that nice blend. Okay, now we're going to start moving into the, I think this is technically called purple, but it looks fuchsia to me. Now I'm going to tell you, two things are 1000% going to happen here as I'm activating my Neocolors. Number one, I'm going to have places that I missed with the masking fluid. So you can see here, I'm just cleaning up that little blending line. Number two, I will have places where I didn't put down enough masking fluid and I'm going to get color on the actual illustration, and that's okay. It's going to happen. And sometimes that's just an opportunity to use a darker color in that spot. Okay, I've got a little too much water there. And then we're just going to go along this edge here. And this is where I was saying you can use your brush to get that line there. Okay. Okay, that brush is a little too wet. I'm gonna what is, use my paper towel to clean that up. Okay. You know what I mean. I'm using my paper towel to try to get some of the excess water off. Now here, I've got these darker colors coming in, and they are so pretty. Okay, and at this point, I'm going to speed this up for you on camera. Okay, so that's layer one. Let me remove the piece of paper there. You can see I have some places where I definitely want to add more color here and maybe in here, and we'll clean that up in just a little bit. So let me let this dry a little bit, and then I will come back and do that. I'll be right back. Okay, in case the camera just cut that off before, I want to add more color up here and in here and down in here. So I've got my violet back out. I'm going to just come in and put down more color, because I really want that to be saturated and darken that up quite a bit. I can see here, I probably have some places where I've got masking fluid, so I might have to finish cleaning that up after I remove the masking fluid and start working on the actual page. Now, you don't always have to use the masking fluid. I think for me, when there's lots of little details I want to color along, it's the safest way for me to know I'm not going to ruin my page by painting the Neocolors over the illustration accidentally. I will leave a link to the masking fluid in the description for you guys. All right, we're going to darken up this purple here a little bit. And again, I think I've got some masking fluid I'm fighting, but don't worry about that. It's really easy to clean up. And I've found that sometimes if you get your watercolor, your Neocolor on the actual illustration, that you can take an electronic eraser and erase some of that if it's not too saturated where that happened. Okay, let me add just a little bit more down here. I am really happy with how this turned out over here on this side, though, of the page. I think that that's really pretty. I might add maybe a little more pink. Oops, right in here. Try to clean up that transition a little bit, but I'm pretty happy with it. Just a little bit more yellow there. Okay. Actually, so like I said, it usually takes me 2 to 3 layers to get the actual look that I like. And sometimes it's just to clean up brush strokes that I don't like. Sometimes it's to add texture with my brush strokes. Yeah, I think that will do it. Okay, I'm going to, you can see how the page is already curling from the water. I'm going to activate. I'll be right back. Okay, I think this looks good. I'm pretty happy with it. Looking here, I can already see I've got spots where the I had too much drawing gum. So like I said, those will be real easy to clean up. And anywhere else I want to smooth out color, I can just do it with my colored pencil. So I'm going to let this dry, and then I will show you how to remove the drawing gum or the masking fluid. I'll be right back. There are 2 ways that I remove the masking fluid. I can use my finger, and you can feel it with like the tip of your finger, and you can feel it kind of start to peel up. The other way that I do it, I have this, you can see it's well used. It's like an eraser. It's a very hard rubbery eraser, and you can use that. That actually makes it quicker. And then this stuff just starts peeling up. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to use this eraser, and I will definitely speed this up on the video because this will take a minute. Okay, I think I got most of it. So what I'm doing now is just feeling with my fingers. Like there are a few spots where I could feel that I missed removing the masking fluid. You'll feel it. It'll be real obvious to you. Okay, I think there's a spot right there. And you'll also have like little crumbly things from this eraser all over your page. No good art comes without a mess, right? That's right. Okay, I think that feels like I got most of it. All right. Now, I know the page is curling. I need to iron that. But, and by the way, I will leave a link in my description for a video that Jen's Coloring Corner did on how to iron her pages to flatten them out. But what I wanted to do next was show you how to clean up some of this stuff where we had misses on the masking fluid. So let me get some pencils and I'll be right back. Okay, I'm using my Prismacolor family chart to try to color match some of these colors here. So I'm pulling in lilac. I probably should pick up lavender, but I've got mulberry and processed red, but let me get the lavender. I think I'll need that. I'll be right back. All right, I've grabbed the lavender too. So what I'm going to do here, let me start like right up here. I'm just going to take this pencil and I'm going to be real light to see first if I've got a good color match. And that lavender is a little too purpley, so I might take a little bit of the processed red and add that. And now it matches a little bit better. And you can see how you can just sort of blend that in. So we'll do the same thing here. I'll add a little lavender. I don't even need processed red on that. Let's come back over this way. I've got this line right here. I'm going to go real light with the processed red. Your goal is to color match and also to kind of blend it with your brush strokes as much as you can. So I'm just picking up little spots along the way that I found. I actually did better than I thought I would on this one. You know, people say practice makes perfect. My dad taught us growing up. He used to say, no, perfect practice makes perfect. No pressure, right, Dad? No pressure. Okay, so here I'm going to darken this a little bit. Sorry if I'm covering that. Now you can also see, look, I have spaces where the watercolor actually got onto the illustration. And I'm going to be okay with that. It's not too egregious. It's livable. I have had times before where it was just way into the illustration. And so I had to save that by coloring a lot darker with the color, the pencil color I was going to use there. Okay, now I've got the, oh, actually I pulled Parma Violet. Parma Violet might go better over here. Sorry, guys. So I'm just going to touch up some of these colors. Let me get my lilac. But it's really trial and error trying to match the color and get the right exact color you're looking for. And just filling in those little white spaces. It's best to kind of go lighter. And then you can use the darker color over that. And you can always erase if you feel like you didn't match it very well. But that's all that I'm doing. It's really easier than it looks. Don't be scared. But I promise you, every time I color a Neocolor background, I'm definitely doing this. So you can see here, I've got a lot of the watercolor. That's where I didn't go heavy enough with the drawing gum or the masking fluid. Add a little bit lilac there. So it doesn't have to be perfect. And I'll bet if you didn't even color these spaces, people might not even notice. Maybe only you. And usually that's half the battle, right? We notice our own errors and we just all of a sudden decide that, well, this page is totally crap. I ruined it. But 99% of the time, nobody even knows that's there except for you. Okay. And this right here, I was debating on whether that was hair or like a gap between her hair and her body. So I'm going to color that as hair just to keep it simple. So over here, I also pulled violet for this darker purple area. I'm going to blend it with the Parma Violet. I think that will be fine. And then you'll need a sharp tip on your pencil to get these little areas. Let's see. Okay, let's come up here. Got a space here. That's a pretty big gap. So I'm going to use the mulberry first and probably maybe use, oops, I got a little drawing gum there. Maybe a little lavender over that. Okay, I think that's most of the spot. Well, not all of them. Again, I've always said that I'm not the person to watch on camera if you are OCD. All right, we could probably add maybe just a little lavender here. Very little bit of processed red just to add a little color to that spot. Okay. Trying to see if there are any other places. Oh, yep, there's one right there. Okay, let's get that guy. And as you color your page, you can, you will find spots and places where you feel like you missed and you need to add or correct it a little bit more. Okay, Now what I want to do is show you how I can add a little bokeh effect to this. So I will be right back. All right, what I've got here is just a white colored pencil. So I'm going to come in here and just gently add little white circles. Probably can't see that, I'm sorry. Just adding white circles. You want to vary the sizes. Make sure this is in camera. And after I color the page, I'm not going to do it right now because I still have to color the page, but at the end of the page, I would add a lot of white embellishments on this background. So I can show you on the other page what I do for that. In the meantime, I'm just going to keep coloring these little white circles around here. So I will speed this up for you on camera. And what I wanted to do was go back to my little bug page. Hey, look, we got the colors pretty close. So you can see now, after what I just showed you, the little white bokeh circles. So those won't be, they look really obvious and they kind of stick out a little bit, but as you add white gel pen or Posca, it kind of blends it together and brings it together and sort of masks those little bubbles of color with white that we just did. So that would be your finishing part, would just be the adding the white. Now what I'm going to do, and this is going to feel pretty out of order for me, I'm going to try to add some white embellishments so you can see how we might get to a page like this from here. So I'm going to start by just adding some white dots with my gel pen, and this gel pen is very opaque. As it dries, it really whitens up. So I'm just going to add some white sparkles, you know, all over the place here. And then what I might do is add white sparkles off of her wings, her little butterfly wings. Try to do this so I stay in camera. This gives kind of a magical effect, I think, to her. Now what I'm going to do is take a different size Posca pen to add just different size dots. And again, just adding them around her wings. Maybe some more out here. Oops. And then I've got a fatter Posca pen. And again, just adding even more little dots around the page here. And what I might even do after I color the page is use white Posca on the wings themselves. But you can see how just adding that little bit changes the effect on the page. Now I'm not going to have as many, like this has just sparkles everywhere, all around the bug. And you could do the same thing here, but I'm sort of hedging and holding off a little bit because I don't know until I color her where I really want this to go. But you can see how where I'm adding these white dots, it puts that bokeh, those circles in the background a little bit. So that's kind of nice. Okay. So I'm gonna kind of stop there, I think. You could even No, I was going to say you could even make this like look like glass and make it look like she's in a crystal ball, except she's not because clearly she's outside of the little vine. With that, I think that's it for today. I would probably do a lot more with the white for effect. I just don't know where I'm going to go with it until I'm done with her. And a lot of that Posca work you can see is on the bug itself, not just around it here. So with that, I think that will be it for today. But I hope this has helped you guys see how to create a glow using your colors, your Neocolor IIs, and then getting sort of a magical look with your page. If you have any questions, please drop them in the comments below for me. I'll leave all the links in the description that I told you I would share with you. And I think that's it. So thank you so very much for joining me today, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.